Hello, hello. Can you hear?
Good morning, Rabbi. Yeah, we can hear you.
Then it's good. You can hear, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well, for sure. Wow.
Shalom Aleichem, Rabbi.
Yeah, shalom, shalom, Kevin. Okay. All right, good morning, guys. Vamos.
Morning, Rabbi.
Morning, good morning. Oh. All right. With the help of Hashem, we are learning Shabbos Daf Samach Zayin. A lot more today on talismanic remedies, incantations. We're going to be learning about the Talmudic Advil or Tylenol. In other words, what one can do to break one's fever. We will actually be learning new techniques in which a person is going to be saying, articulating psukim in the Torah as part of a therapy. And really, we're going to learn, God willing, inside the Marsha that challenges the Gemara here regarding us being allowed to use psukim for therapeutical purposes, when the Gemara in Shavuos Daf Tezvav Amud Beis says clearly that asir lihisrapos b'divrei Torah. If you remember, the Gemara there itself was speaking about a difference between healing something that is already in the person versus preventing a person from becoming ill. We're going to have a different approach, a fascinating approach here in the Marsha, differentiating between Refuas HaGuf and Refuas HaNefesh, as we will explain. We will learn a technique how to banish demons. We're going to have the final Mishnah in this Perek that's going to continue to speak about items that one is allowed to go out with in the Reshus HaRabim, our Shabbos, connected to healing, again, because we don't view them as a masoi, and we don't even have the rabbinic isur on carrying tachshitin, on wearing tachshitin, because no one will take off an article that a person is wearing to get better. So not it's a masoi, nor is there a fear that one will remove it, and therefore we will be allowed to wear it on Shabbos outside, very much like the kameya. We're going to learn the Talmudic remedy for insomnia. We're going to learn a lot about the concept of darkei ha'amoyri, practices that pagans used to do that are nonsensical, we are not allowed to copy. We're going to have the Talmudic Heimlich maneuver, and we're going to have the source in the Gemara of what we say today, L'chaim v'levracha, before we drink wine, wishing our fellow both with life and with blessing. And if we'll have time, we will start the new one, the 7th chapter, Perek Klal Gadol. All right, so let us start where we left off. We left off on Daf Samach Vav Amud Beis, and the last line, at the end of the last line, Amar Rav Huna. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Malkeinu Shakol Midvarim. This is going to be fascinating. So we began yesterday about Abayah that said, Amr Li'aim, right? He's sharing that which his mother that raised him, his nurse mother, told him regarding Ishta Bas Yoima. If a person has a fever, every single day they have the fever, the various techniques, the kaparas. We spoke about the ant, we spoke about the kuza damaya that you wave around your head for 7 times. And now we're going to continue with another type of fever. Turning to the Samach Zayin Amud Aleph, Ishta Tilsa. In other words, we learned the Ishta Bas Yoima, and the Ishta Tilsa will mean same concept, that if there's a person that has fever, every 3 days they get a fever. When they get fever, they get a little bit better, Nacham ala fever. And now she says that's the meaning in the Torah with the word shachefes. Shachefes is a fever that comes every 3 days. So here we go. Fasten your seatbelt, reminding you guys of the Chedim, of the Chedim HaKadmonim, that we're learning this for the mitzvah of Talmud Torah, but to actually put this into practice, there's a Chedim. Because if we will get it wrong, or if on a certain remedy we will apply the concept of nishtano hativim, and therefore it won't function, a person, God forbid, might come to disrespect on any level everything that Chazal say, which is always emes, Moshe emes, v'teirase emes. So let's go. Ishta tilsa, laisa shiva silve, a person should bring 7 small branches, v'shiva dikle, from 7 date palms. And Vishiva Tzivei, and 7 splinters, Vishiva Kishurei, from 7 wooden beams. And Vishiva Sichei, 7 pegs, Mishiva Goshurei, from 7 bridges. And Vishiva Kitmei, 7 specimens of ash, Vishiva Tanurei, from 7 different ovens. And Vishiva Afrei, and 7 pieces of dirt or of earth that came from Mishivei Sinrei, from 7 separate door sockets. And Vishiva Kufrei, 7 specimens of pitch, that Mishiva Arbi, that are coming from 7 ships. Wow, so where are we up to, Chevra? Everything in 7, trees, beams, bridges, ovens, door sockets, and ships. And Vishiva Bunei Kamoini, 7 kernels of cumin. And Vishiva Bine, this is the best one, Mishmi Dikna, the Kalba, Sava, 7 hairs from the beard of an aged dog. Oh, so now you have all the ingredients. And Vilitsairinu Bechalala the Beit Sabara. Tie them together. We had these words in the last daf around the opening of your shirt. That means it's a necklace that you're wearing right where your shirt opens up on the top. And how should you tie all of these groups of 7 together? Binira Barko with a strand of hair, and Dasilas, and then you're good to go. Okay, next one. Amar Rabbi Yechanan. Leishta Tzimrasa. Leishta Tzimrasa means for a burning fever. Here Rashi says that's the meaning in the Torah with the word kadachas. Today we have Advil, today we have Tylenol. Let's learn what the Gemara says you should do. Lishkol Sakina. You should take a knife, the kula parzala, that is entirely made out of iron. Not a knife with a wooden handle, an iron knife, the ganze mais. And you should go go find a thorn bush. A thorn bush, as the Gemara itself will call in a moment, is the snare, right? A short thorn bush. And the liter bay nira barka nachamol, you should tie around, make a knot around this snare with a strand of hair. So first of all, that always somehow you're connected to it. And now you have to go 3 times to the snare on 3 consecutive days. When you go to the snare after you tied it with the strand of hair the first day, Lichroik beipurta, you have to make a small incision with your knife, with your iron knife in it. And as you're cutting into this thorn bush, you have to say the pasuk. Here we're using psukim as part of a remedy. And these are psukim that we have in Shemais, in Parsha Shemais, right? When Hashem was about to introduce himself to Moshe Rabbeinu. So there was a burning bush. And it says, Vayera malach Hashem elav, etc. Right? What do we have in these psukim? The psukim basically describe the snez chevre insusceptibility of getting burnt with fire. That was the ma'isa. In other words, a person is burning with fever, so he begins quoting psukim in that parsha, and that's the first day. So he cuts into the tree and he quotes the pasuk Vayera malach Hashem elav. The next day he comes back and again lichroik beipurta, a nachashtikel incision in the sneh. And the layman, and he quotes the next pasuk in the parsha. Moshe said to himself, let me turn and see. I'm turning and seeing how is that connected to getting healed from a fever, from a fire. So Rashi says, because the seif of that pasuk says, Madua lo yivar hasneh. Even though there is a fire, but the sneh is not getting consumed. That's what we're trying to speak out, that the fire won't get you. On the third day, again, for the third time, lichroik beipurta, you should make another little incision in the sneh. And the lema, Vayar Hashem kisar lirois, that Hashem saw that Moshe Rabbeinu turned to see. And Rashi says over here that this pasuk is kilo, it's a play on words. That the word kisar literally means that he turned to see the sneh, the wondrous sight. But Rashi says sar also can mean sheyasur hachoili, that the illness, that the chayli should turn away from the person. Okay, so these are the three psukim that you quote. We're going to stop over here. We'll remember where we're up to. For those of us who have the marsha, we're going to Chadushay Agadois. It's a very important marsha on Daf Samach Zayin, Amid Aleph, the first marsha on the Amid, right? Leishtat Simnata. So he's speaking about the psukim. I'm going like 5 or 6 lines into the marsha, and the marsha asks the following question: that we find elsewhere in Shvuas Daf Tezvav that a person is not allowed to use words of Torah for healing. Here we're mamish using the words of Torah. And over there, one approach the Gemara itself gives lahagin shiny. In other words, before you're ill, I think there it was before you go to sleep, sukkim that we say, to protect you from bad dreams, to protect you from all types of negative things that might happen, that is okay. But that answer doesn't apply over here. Here we're speaking about a person that already has the fever. So the Marsha says the following, that Lafi Darkeno, the Marsha in the beginning makes it very clear that there's an illness of the body and there's an illness of the nefesh. That we all know. What the Marsha is Machadesh, which is something that we are familiar with through learning Hasidus, is that every world is connected to the other. In other words, in beginning, Milmaila Lamata, the lower world is simply mirroring a truth that's happening on the higher world, which really means that a person is to view a physical illness as a result of a spiritual illness. Ubemela is Dr. Marshall like this. The vadai im ha'adam loimid nishum refuas hanefesh yatoira. If a person is saying, I'm physically ill, which means let me figure out what is my spiritual illness. And now I want to heal my ruchniyazdike illness. To heal ruchniyazdike illnesses, we are allowed to say psukim in the Torah. Then it's good. And he says psukim, and he knows that if I'm going to heal myself spiritually, shari. This is good. When the Gemara in Shavuot says that asur lisrapis b'divrei Torah, that's lo asur lisrapis el b'loichish al hamako. He's quoting the words over there from Shavuot. That means if I am completely ignoring the spiritual aspect and I'm not addressing the spiritual aspect, I'm only addressing the physical. So this person has a fever, and to heal themselves from a fever, they're saying psukim in the Torah. That is something that's prohibited. Moiradik. So again, coming back to our Gemara, yeah, we're quoting psukim, but we're not directly addressing the Gashmi. Fakert. The person is saying, if I'm sick begashmias, that means I'm sick beruchnias. So I'm doing a cheshbon nefesh, as we learned in brachas, and I'll do tshuva. And part of the tshuva, the tshuva law, according to the Alter Rebbe, is learning, saying words of Torah and learning Torah dafka b'simcha. So he's learning parts of Torah that deal with fires, ruchni is the negative fires going away from the person or not taking hold of the person. That works. And once unishtal shalom, then the person will also have a refuas haguf. That's gavalik. Okay. So we're back in the Gemara. So Amalei Rav Acha Bereg de Rav to Rav Ashi. Now that you are quoting Psukim in Parshas Shemais, Velema, why don't you also quote Vayomer Al Tikrav Haloim? Don't come closer. Now, don't come closer would also be a very important, powerful pasuk, because even though literally it was Hashem telling Moshe not to come closer, but here where you're making as a skula, we're saying Psukim, we're telling the illness don't come closer. That should be very effective. And indeed, because of this kasha, we are saying that these psukim should be incorporated in this sort of feeling. Ella, indeed, the first day when you make the incision in this sneh, you can say both psukim. Which is what we already had before, and this pasuk and Vayomer Moshe. On the next day he says Vayar Hashem Kesar Lirois, and on the third day this is the way Taka says Vayomer Al Tikrav Haloim. Very good. Okay, and that's first of all that's going to make the fever break. But you're not done with the Chipasak Lei, and now that the burning fever stopped. It's not afflicting you, but it doesn't mean that you're fully healed. You have to get it completely out of your system. So what you do is like this, is lisate, you bend down completely, you bend down to the sneh, and velipsike, and you sever it. You take that knife and you cut it out of the ground. And now velema, now you say the following, velema hachi, hasneh, hasneh, sneh, sneh, rab mishum de gevias, the first wide line, mikol ilnei. It's not because you are the tallest of all other trees, that ashrei miloshen hashros hashchina, not ashrei miloshen ashrei yeshvei veisecha, praiseworthy. Ashrei HaKadosh Baruch Hu shchina say Allah, that Hashem rest the shchina on you. Ela mishum de meichas mikol ilan, it's because you are the most humble from all trees. Ashrei kuchabrich hu shchinte Allah. And this fits so much with the Marsha. What does this have to do? This has to do with everything. Because the healing, Beruchnius, is humility, as we learn in Chassidus. In other words, the point, how do we become holy? Kedusha has to do with being bottled to Hashem. So that's for once we're connected to God, everything, all good comes automatically. And now we go weiter, that the Chiecha, the Chamisei, Eshta, just like the fire, beheld Lechananya, Mishal, Vazariah, when they were thrown into the furnace of fire by Nebuchadnezzar. And after they were beheld, so it was Kilo, the fire looked at them, and then Va'arikas min kadamoi, the fire fled from them. Cain, likewise, Tachamine Eshta, that the fire, the speaking out of Ruchni is the negative fire, should behold, and he quotes his name, like we learned yesterday, Ben, the mother's name, Lepleni bar Peloinus, and when the fire will behold a humble Yid, a Yid that has bittul, therefore a Yid is connected to Kedusha, so the Mela, Visi Aroik, min kadamoi, the fire will flee from me. Isn't that great? Next, lesimta. Lesimta means for a person who has boils. What's the remedy for that? Lemahachi. Now we're learning about incantations. Baz, bazie. Tear, you should tear. Mas, masye. Heal, you should heal. Kas, kasye, grind. So grinding the illness, you should grind. And who are we talking to? Sharaloi, the Armaloi, which are Elah, these are the Malachim, the Ishtalchu that were sent from the land of Sodom. And we're talking to them that these Malachim should, like we mentioned, they should tear the illness, they should heal the illness, they should grind away the illness. Next one, Ula Asa, and to heal Shechina Ke'evin, painful boils. So this is the incantation. And just to repeat, we learned yesterday that all these incantations, minimally, we called them yesterday minyana, which means they have to be repeated. How many times? Rashi writes on Samach Vav Amud Beis, at least 3 times. And if you were not told how many times, Aleph Mem, aim, right? 41 times to repeat them. Good. Now, what should you say? Bazach, bazich. Again, bazich means to tear. So bazach, bazich, baz bazich. By the way, here you see it's a repetition of 3. Gavalik. Mas masich. Kamoin kamich. Kamoin kamich are names. Are names of, Rashi says that we don't fully know all the meanings of every word of the Lachash. Einich beich, may your color remain the way it is. In other words, a boil, the worse it gets, the redder it gets. So you're stopping it. First, you have to stop it, much like we had before, like by the fever. First, you stop the fever, and then you get rid of the fever. The color should remain as it is. The illness should remain in its place, right? The corona shouldn't spread. Zarech, your seed should be kalut or kepirda. It should be completely like an animal that is unable to reproduce. It should be locked up and sterile. What's like a mule, the like part of a leiravia. It's kachle sifra, so the corona and all these machlish should not multiply in our bodies. And we mentioned the name again, the mother's name, the Pliny bar Plinus. I'm going to say this 3 times or to say this 41 times. Next, lekipa. Kipa's blisters. Lemahachi, zagazoi. Cherev shlufa. There's an unsheathed sword. Vikela, netusha, and a slingshot that's ready to be used. And then we address the illness. Your name or its name is not Yoichav, Choylen Machoyven, right, to the painful illness. You say this enough times, there goes the blisters. The next Lashida, to banish demons. Leimahachi, this is what we say. Haves, the pakik haves. You were stopped up, you were. You know where we do this nowadays? By Kiddush Levana. When we say a pasuk one way and then we go backwards. We're going to have certain incantations that we're going from both directions. She says the haves, the pakik haves. You are stopped up you are. Lita, you should be cursed. We're speaking to the demon. Tavad, you should be broken. Umeshumas, you should be banned. Right, Shamta. Who, and we're naming the demon. Bartit, Bartome, Bartina, Kishamgas, Merigas. And that's it. And there goes the demon. Now we're going to speak about a process in which we get rid of a specific demon. We learned about this in Brachas, in a trive, or in a, guys, listen, latrine, there is a shade. Leshida Beisakise, and it damaged people. And you want to get rid of that demon. So Leimahachi, Zagazoi, Akarkafe Dari, upon the head of a lion. Va'ause Duguriyosen, in the nostril of a lioness. Ashkachtun, you shall be found. Leshidoi, to the demon, and we call out the demon by the name. Bar Shirika Panda. Okay. The Meshra de Karte Chafte, that upon a field of a leek, upon a leek field, I felled, means I gahargit this Bar Shirika Panda, the lawyer the Chamra, Chatarte, I struck him, I hit him with the jawbone of a donkey. So that's the lachash, the final lachash. We have a lot more still on this daf, how we get rid of the shida of the Beis HaKisei.
So Rabbi, are we allowed to use these days if someone has a demon issue?
So again, there's a Cheder Makadmoinim. I'm just constantly repeating the reason. I'm speaking all theoretically. For people that they will never be loyeg on the Chachamim. We have enough seichel now. Right? A person is sick and they take any type of healing. They try this medicine, they try that medicine. Maybe in that context, I don't know. Generally, we are told not to use any of these.
Where can I get closures and ship pegs and bridges? Where can I might be interested in these things.
I know, Samach. It's mamash shmeidik. God, it blows your mind. We're not done. There's a lot more exciting stuff that's coming. I think we're gonna
Do we say demons is mental illness, or we're saying it's actual shadim?
I'm sharing something that I always think that demons are mental illness. And let's go.
Anybody that can go on such a treasure hunt can't have fever for 3 days. I'm sorry, to collect all these items. It doesn't make sense.
No, maybe that's the way they got rid of it. Okay, let's go weiter. There's no doubt that physical illness is connected to emotional illness, connected to mental illness. And it's not, and we are addressing more the ruchniistic parts of it. The Mishnah taught us on Daf Samach Vavam and Beis that princes can go out with golden ornamental bells tied on their garments. And then the Mishnah added, really, Ella, that what dibru chachamim b'hoiva. Now hold on. I understand that if you are a prince and it's normal for your type of people to wear gold on their garments. So for you, it's not called a masoi. But for every person, they never saw gold in their life. Why don't we say that for them, it's not part of the way they get dressed, so it should become a masoi? How can we say that it really b'chol adam? So Mantana, so Amar Aboishia, this is only according to Rab Shimon. Rab Shimon says, Kol Yisrael b'nei malachim. So since Kol Yisrael b'nei malachim, even though you forgot, but you are familiar with gold and you go with golden garments, for a couple of years you forgot to do so. Rava says, when Dafnish, we don't have to say that this Mishnah is only going according to Rabbi Shimon. I will tell you, where's their problem if this is not sewn onto your garment? But the moment it's sewn onto the garment, then even if you don't say that Kol Yisrael b'nei malachim, right? If it's going to be woven in, v'divrei hakol, it's zikr considered part of the garment. It's also not shaykh for you to take it off if we would have such a chashash, and everyone will agree that you may go out with beautiful golden bells that are sewed onto your garment. Again, there's a whole discussion. According to many Rishonim, it's only when there's no invol. We had that sugya many daf ago, because then there's another issue of mashmiya koil that we're speaking. There is no koil here. It's just about beautification of garments. Okay, now we're going to go more articles connected to talismanic healing, right? The 7777, we call this a talismanic healing, and that we are allowed to go out on Shabbos. It's not considered a masui. It is more in the category of a tachshit. It's like a kameya, and we're not afraid that anyone will take it off because the person wants to get healed. They don't want to take it off, not even for an instant. So let's learn. Yoitz in the Beitzas HaChargol, you can go out with an egg of a locust. Here's an egg, you'll go with the egg of a locust. And also, ubishein shul with a fox's tooth. And ubemasmin menatzolov, you are allowed to go with a nail that was taken from the gallows of someone that was hung. And in detail, it's a nail that helped affix that person onto the gallows. That nail you can go around your neck. And all of these things is mishum refuah. And again, like the kameya, it's not an issue, it's not a masui, and we're not worried you're going to take it off. So holds Rabbi Meir. However, and all of the ones that were mentioned in the Mishnah, they say you can't go, not a Shabbos issue. You may not even wear it b'choil, mishum darkei hu amorim. So from all of the other pagan idol worshippers of the past, for some reason, we always speak about the Amorites, the Amorim. The Amorites, more than the others, evidently, they were involved in what one will call today superstitious practices. And there is an issur not to do something that was a practice of these Amorites or any other pagan group. And we're going to go into more details in a moment. Just let's start now with Rashi in the Mishnah. Darkei Almighty. So Rashi writes two things that l'cha'ura one might have not put together. There's a very important Rashi. Nichushu, a nichush, right? Leisinachashu. Leisinachashu normally is translated as superstition. That's a slav bifnei atzmai in the Chumash. But here Rashi says that everything that we mentioned in the Mishnah is in the group of a nichush. And why may we not get involved in a nichush? So Rashi doesn't say because it says leisinachashu. Rashi says because it says u'b'chukayseim leiselechum. So Rashi links really that all of a nichush is included in the problem of, where might we say this pasuk in Yom Kippur? I think in the beginning of the afternoon, right before the Aroyos, u'b'chukayseim leiselechum. Right, Hamasi Eretz Mitzrayim, Hamasi Eretz Canaan, u'b'chukayseim means things that they do that makes no sense. We don't say u'b'chukayseim leiselechum, right? As we have Gevaldik Tshuvas going way back when the doctors began to wear a white garb. This came from the Goyim. Well, we don't say that a Yiddish doctor may not wear the white doctor's garb. He's allowed to do that. There's reasons for that, right? We want to make sure that there's a level of hygiene. And when you're wearing white garments, if there is something the opposite of hygiene, you see the best. And other reasons. There's a reason for that. But if the Goyim have a minhag that mamish doesn't make sense, and as we'll see other details, that its therapeutic value is not evident, and if they made it up, that's the u'b'chukayseim leiselechum darkei almighty. Okay, so now we're going to get into this whole. We're going to learn almost until the end of the Perek, the end of the Daf, a ganze braisa that speaks about darkei almighty, and that which we are allowed to do because those things, the therapeutical value is evident. Even in our Mishnah, Rabbi Meir holds that the three things that we mentioned, they work. So if it makes sense, then we may engage in it, or the Chachamim say that it doesn't work, so it's considered not rational, irrational, and therefore it is included in the Bukhuk. I just want to, before we begin, that would just ayin, if you have a moment, we learned this Chulin Daf Tzaddik Keyom and Beis. There we're speaking more about the words nichush, but here Rashi's linking it. If you remember that Rav was badig b'mabara. That means before he went on a trip, he used to go to the port. If when he got there, the ship was already waiting for him, he would say, that's a siman that my business will go good today. And then we learned Shmuel was badig b'sifra. He had a question, he opened up a sefer. Rabbi Yechanan asked a child, so we spoke out over there, that if, by Rav, the Tosfos asked, how did Rav do these superstitions? If I go to a place, if the boat will be there, is a good siman. If not, it won't be a good siman. So there we already spoke out that if there are other reasons, seicheldika reasons, that give sense to what you plan to do, and this is only as an additional, so to say, confirmation, that's not considered nichush. But if you're doing something that makes, you don't know which way is right, there's no logical way, you're only using that sign to know what to do, that is also if you're using the boat. Rabbi Yechanan's using of a Yanuka. You ask a child, what pasuk did you learn today? That for sure is like a nevuah. That is something that we may rely on even if it makes no sense. But that's the pasuk that I'm going to follow what it says in the pasuk. And then we spoke about the question that the Mefarshim have in the Gemara Tzaddik Hamad Beis and Chulin, whether Shmuel's technique of being boidik in a sefer, is it more like Rabbi Yechanan's asking a Yanuka, whatever it says you do, or is it more in the group of Rav that was badik v'mabara, that just that in itself is taka asur to rely on? You have to have other logical reasons, and this should be, so to say, ki Yehuda v'oid l'kra. Okay, says the Gemara. Yotzim b'beitzas achargol. Why did people, and according to Rav Meir, we are allowed to go out on Shabbos wearing a locust's egg? So first of all, they would wear it. The avdi l'shichla, it was to help an earache. And indeed, this is not a necklace, like we were learning above, by the opening of your shirt. No, this was worn by the ear, an earring, or something that they put in the ear. Why did people go out with a fox's tooth? The avdi l'shimsa, it helped you with sleep disorders. And now there are two opposite types of sleep orders. There's a person that can't stop sleeping, as schluft, so we have to wake him up. So what do? So the chaya leman denoim. If you have a shlufer, he's always tired. So then you take the tooth out of a living fox. Be careful. But when you take out a living fox and you wear that ring as a necklace, it's going to wake you up. It's going to give you the chayas of a fox. And if you have a person never that can't fall asleep, it's called in English insomnia. So you take the tooth, the misa, take it out of a dead fox. If a shluff in a fox, he's dead. And and who should wear it? The guy who can't fall asleep. That will do it. Not an Advil PM or the more powerful drugs. You got to get hold of a fox tooth.
Is there a Tzar Baal Chaim issue of pulling a tooth out of a live fox?
Very good question. So Danny's asking, why do we do a Tzar Baal Chaim? So as a general rule, we speak this out many times, that Tzar Baal Chaim means that I'm bringing pain to a living creature for no reason. This is a reason. Any human purpose allows you to do it, minimize the pain to the best possible, but there's no issue of Tzar Baal Chaim. Next in the Mishnah was
you could get all these ingredients in Wuhan anyway, so it's not like you have to go out
of taking a nail out of a gallows, and they go into details. It's the nail that was part of knocking the person in the gallows. Why did you do that? The Avdi Lazirpa, that was done to heal someone who has swelling or infection because of metal, like someone who got cut by a knife or by a sword. I think today we have a tetanus shot for that. So what they did then was a little bit of metal healed the illness from metal. But what metal? The nail from the tzolov. Mishum refuah divrei Rabbi Meir, and again the Chachamim hold no that these things don't help, and since they don't help and they are being practiced, and the origin of the practice is from what the Moirim superstition, not rational, then it's also already, it's included in the Isur Da'iraisa. And again, Rashi says it's nichush because of ubuchukesayim loiselech. Abaye v'Rav Davar Tavaya. This is the rule. Kol davar sheyesh boy mishum refuah. Ein boy mishum darkei ha'moiri. That's the klal. Says the holy Rashi, 3 lines at the end of the narrow lines. Sheyesh boy mishum refuah. Sheniris refuasoi. That's the word. That the therapeutic value is evident. It's nires. You see that it works. And he gives it Rashi. Whenever the therapeutical value is not evident, then you may not do it. This is very important all the way up into the Poiskim. Again, to mention that it's already printed this, that the Rebbe said that the rate to bendel around the wrists is also from Ubuchukesem Loiselechu, because that mamash, because in other words, if the goyim never would have done it, okay, big deal, do something foolish. But it's that the goyim used to do it, the pagan idol worshippers used to do it. And since it's not evident how it works, we are not allowed to do that. Okay.
So what about a chamsa, Rabbi? You know, like the chamsa.
Chamsa, that's the question. The question is, where does it originate from? So I read about it. Again, I'm not in paskening at all. If I'm not mistaken, it originated more amongst the Muslims. They're not of the Avodah Zarah. So there's a big difference.
So that's not Darkei Amori.
Not Darkei Amori. In other words, says the Gemara, what is Abaye Nova really telling you? The moment we are doing something whose therapeutical value is not evident, we're not allowed to do it. It's included in that. So we have a tree. How ironic that because of its great vitality, it's so filled with life that the fruits become ripe too quick, and it already falls off the tree before its right time. Well, like Corona, it's also the body is overreacting. The tree has too much koyach. But what do you do? Two things, says the Braisa. Dye it with red pigment. We spoke about this also with the red. You make a red circle around it, and v'toyana ba'avonim, put many heavy rocks on its branches. So now, end of Braisa. Asks the Gemara, loading it up with stones makes sense. The problem with the tree is it has too much chayas. It's like a teenager. So here, when you put on stones, you make the yeshiva bacher learn 24/7. Amachaya. You channel the koyach. You make it use up its koyach to carry the rocks, so it's not going to produce fruits too quick, and ultimately they will be underdeveloped. That makes sense. But painting with red, that's superstition. Might have fork of it. Answers the Gemara. I'll tell you, it's not for the fuah. You're painting it with red. People should see that the tree is ill, because that's a siman. When something has something red around it, it's a siman of chayli. It's just a way of notifying, please pray for me meaning the tree. And people are going to daven that the tree should get better. As it says, that when the Mitzvah has to say the Tommy Yikra, the Mitzvah has to announce, I am Tommy. Why? To notify his pain to the public, in order that the Rabbim Yivakshu Olav Rachamim. So whether people are davening for the owner of the tree, or people are davening for the tree, be that as it may, that's the word. And again, maybe just to be Malamet Schos, that if people are wearing a rate to bendel around the wrists, they're really saying that they're sick, and daven for them that they should get better, and Hashem will listen to the prayers. Amar Ravina, Kama Tolinon, Kaman Tolinon Kufsei V'Dikla, same concept, that here we're speaking about a palm, a date palm, and you see sometimes that people hang on the tree bunches of dates. Where did that come from? Why are they doing it? That's from this Braisa. In other words, if you see that your tree is producing fruits too quick, it's getting ready too quick, it's not good. So the solution is make the tree work harder. That is the solution. So load it up with a bunch of palms. Now, says the Gemara Vayter, Tano, the Perek Emoiroi, Amachaya, there's a ganze Perek of Braisas, of Teseftes, that enumerate, that speak out all the different Darkei HaAmoiri. So there was a Tana that was about to teach a ganze Perek of Torah Shebal Peh in front of Rav Chia bar Avin. Even before he said it, he was going to enlist many practices that are asur. So Amalei, before you tell me the Braisa, I want you to know, you the Amoira that has this memory, that Kulu Isbu Mimshum Darkei, everything that you will mention is Taka Emes, Asur Mishum Darkei Amoiri, Labar Mahani. But there are two practices. If you have it in the Braisa, take it out. Because the next two practices, even though it could be that the descendants or the copycatters of the Amoirim do it, but it's not also Mishum Darkei Amoiri, let's go with Rashi, because they work. And if they work, again, if like Rashi says, that Sheniris Rufuasai, then it's mutter, because Niris Rufuasai. And one of the two. Number one, if a person has a bone stuck in his or her throat, way before Heimlich, Toira. The Chayla Ba, Hafach Ba, maybe Moisamin, take a bone that is of the same type. Now, never this guy is choking, but you have to find the bone of this type quickly. You put it on the skull of the choker, and then you got to say, you got to get an incantation. One by one, go down, get swallowed. And here again, we're saying a statement backwards and forwards. Swallowed, go down 1-1. You say this enough times, the bone will go down. And that is good. You can do that. Number two, something similar, not a bone in the throat, but who didn't have eating on Shabbos and Yom Tov a piece of fish, and you have a bone stuck in your throat? A lot of this by me is psychological. It's not there anymore. You think it's there, and therefore you can never cough it up. So le'idra, if you have a fish bone stuck in your throat, le'mahaki, zogazoi. Here, thank God you don't have to put a bone on your skull. Here you just have to say that min atzta kamachad, you have embedded yourself in my throat like a needle. Min alta kitris, you are locked so tight like shutters. Shoya, go down, eladict. And that works. So that is something that may be done. Daf Samach Zayin on base. Now, there's two ways. There's many more ways, but here there's a big machlokes rishonim how to learn the whole Amid. We are following that from now on. This is part of the Braisa that is taka asr mishum darkei yo'amayri. So that's the way we learned it. That the two cases on Amid Aleph in the bottom, he told them, no, these two are good. Bikano Lahaba is problematic. There are other Rishonim that learn this whole Gemara very differently, and that affects halacha l'maisa. Notice whether any of the following practices, whether they are allowed to be done or not, depends, like always, how do you learn the Gemara? That's the origin of the whole Torah Shabbat. And again, we are following that which may not be done. Number one, Ha'omer Gad Gedi. God Gedi, Rashi says, look inside God Gedi, his mazel mazoli. May my constellation, may my mazel, show me favor. You may not make the statement. It's almost like you're davening to the constellations. And v'sanuk, loy ashki uvushki. Sanuk sagt Rashi is oyef. Don't be, my mazel, don't be tired, not by day nor by night. Don't be exhausted. Help me out. That is asur. That's the Tanakama. Rabbi Yehuda says it's much worse than that. See, Darki Amayri, let's go back to the Rashi in the Mishnah. It's not connected to idol worship. It's connected to superstitions that don't work. And since it originated from idol worshippers, don't do it. Stay away from their chukim. And by the way, that's the word ubuchukai sayim. It's very good. Right? The Chassidus so he speaks about chukim edus mishpatim. Chuk means something that's not rational. So by the Eibishter, by us, it's supra-rational. Paraduma, shatnes, kashrus, tahara, lahavdol, by these goyim, a chuk means it's lower than reason. Stam narishkeiten, superstition.
Rabbi, but if it works, then we're allowed to do it? Is that the...
It has therapeutical value, as I state the way Rashi learns. We're learning about Rashi. So Rabbi Yehuda says, by the way, according to Rabbi Yehuda, even if it works, you may not do it. Because it's not it's Avodah Zarah. God, the word God, originates from a name of an idol. So when the Goyim say God Gedi, even though we have in the Torah God, Mazel Tov, right? But God, by the Goyim, means an idol. And there's a pasuk in Yeshaya where it says, Ha'orchim, those who set a table to the Getchkele called God. Ha'orchim legat shulchan. Okay, so therefore it's worse than Darkei Almighty. And I think, Danny, that's the word. No, it's here. Even if it works, you can't do it. It's Avodah Zarah. Next case, Mishagas, that at night, the man wants to be called by the name of his wife, and the wife wants to be called by the name of the husband. They're reversing roles by name calling. Hu bishma, he bishmai. Don't do that. Next case, Dunu Donai. This is a person whose parnasa is from having wine or other good spirits that are in barrels, and he's speaking and he's saying Dunu Donai. Again, it's as a lachash. A dan means a barrel. May my barrels be strong. Dunu Donai, not Gabriel, Riboine Shaloilam, keep on blessing shiur wines. No, Dunu Danai, he's speaking to the barrels. Superstition, like he'll say that incantation 41 times, boom. No, Rabbi Yehuda says it's worse than that. And done, again, the word done is a lashon avodah zarah. As it says a pasuk here in Amos, Hanishbayim, those who swear, ba'ashma shoimram, by continuing the iniquity, the sin of the people who lived then in Shomron, by saying, va'amru chei or chai elihecha, because here it's a getchke, done. By the life of your getchke done. So no, since the word done, it was the name of an idol, and from there gave the birth of saying this mantra, of saying this incantation, Dunu Danai, it comes from avodah zarah. It's worse than that. Next, you should know the Goyim have a wrong concept that a raven, whenever a raven starts to croak, starts to make noise, he's bringing bad tidings. And therefore, they felt that they have to do something to circumvent, to get out of the bad tidings. So if a person sees a raven, and instead of fighting it, he says, Sarach, croak. Or if he sees a female raven, their sound is called in the Gemara shrieking. They shriek, shrieking. But turn your tail to me for good fortune. They believe that making the statement is going to take away the bad mazel that the raven is making. Don't do that. Next, the pagans also, they worship nature. That's it. Not that there's a creator of nature, which there is. They were stuck in nature, and therefore, since nature was their God, whenever nature behaved unnaturally, they would go mishuga. They would get very nervous. For a Yid, there's no difference. It's the same Eibishter. If the Eibishter said the oil should burn, the Eibishter said they can say that the vinegar should burn. By them, it was different. So whenever there was a phenomena in nature that was, in their mind, misfunctioning, they would get rid of it. They thought they'll get rid of that, they'll get rid of the misfortune. So whoever says that we got to kill this rooster, you should cut a oirvis because it's making sounds like a raven. Or even if it was a hen, if you have a hen that is making sounds like a rooster, or v'tanagoylis, because shekara gavres, it's making sounds, it's calling out like a rooster, and therefore we got to shecht it, and that will resolve it. This all originates from practices of the Amorites. Next, a person has a cup of wine, and they only have one cup, and they want to really get the most out of it. They don't want to drink it and still feel the need to drink more. So they're saying alachash that what? That let me be so satisfied with this cup that I shouldn't even have to drink all of it. Whether they're speaking about the satisfaction of the thirst, whether they're speaking about the satisfaction of the alcoholic content, they're saying, make this wine be so stark, so good for me that I can even leave it over. Next, you have fledglings, little birdalach, and you want them to live. And as a mishagas, to make them live, you believe that cracking eggshells on the wall in front of the Ephraim, then anything negative will go into the eggshells, however their mind was, and the Ephraim will be good. That's prohibited, the way we're learning. The next, steering at the whole sugyan avodah zarah. The goyim used to steer wine for their idols. So they thought that they're going to steer a liquid in front of the Ephraim in order for them not to die. Again, don't do that. It's not a shkaiten, it's superstition, and therefore it's included in the Isur Yesh Mishum Dar Kiyamari. Next one, Hamerakedes, a woman who's dancing. She feels that if she'll dance in front of the fledglings, then they'll live. Or Bahamoina, someone who counts 71. Count to 71 in front of the fledglings and then they'll live. Baited. Likewise, Hamerakedes la kutach. So kutach was the delicious Babylonian dip that was made out of sour milk and made out of rotten or moldy bread, and it was a big delicacy, and to make sure that the kutach is even better, so the Amorim, they used to dance in front of it. So whoever dances in front of the kutach, all these are superstitions. Or v'ham shatekes la'adoshim, when a person is cooking lentils, so they felt that if everyone is shut, don't make noise, the silence will make the lentils better. Now you see that all of these nadoshkaiten, they come from something emezik, right? We know that when it comes to scent, well, we say this every day in the Braisa, So we have these concepts in the emes, but they don't have the emes. So they said that if you're silent when you're making adoshim, or opposite when they're cooking beans, they're asking everyone to shout. Because noise is good for beans. None of this is true. It's not stam narishkeiten. Bittlesman. None of it. There's an isur of darkei amoyri. The next, a person who urinates in front of their pot, they think that urinating in front of the pot will make the food cook quicker. However, now again, the way we're learning this whole sugya, just like we began the whole Pedic of the Emoidim, the Pedic Emoidi, the Gemara gave us two practices that we are allowed to do. So then we spoke everything that we're not allowed to do, and now we're going to conclude with two final practices, again, the way we are learning that we are allowed to do because they work. Because they work. And what is that? Tus is either a strawberry or a mulberry. In other words, a piece of the tree, a piece of the little sneh upon which these berries grow. If you put it inside any cooked item, and you want it to cook quicker, or if you put shivreis chuchis b'kedera, you put a piece of broken glass in a pot. Both of these, bishvil shetzes bashul meheira. So hameshatenes before it, urinating doesn't work, but putting these two items, they work. You are allowed to do that. However, the Chachamim say that itaka, first of all, they taka work. And we know it's nidis, it's evident that they work. And you can put in a piece of the tree of a tus, but putting in a little broken piece of glass, even though it helps the pot cook quicker, but there is another problem for which you may not do it. You may not do oislim, because there is a sakana. If a person will inadvertently swallow that broken piece of glass. That we are allowed to put a bul shemelach, a fistful of salt, the inside a lamp. Salt in a lamp helps the light, helps the fire burn more brightly. That's not darkei amoyri. It works. When you put salt in the oil, it burns brighter. Try that Hanukkah time. Try that for Shabbos. You are allowed to do it. Likewise, the noisnin tit v'charses tachas haned. You are allowed to put either mud or clay. Tachas haned means in the receptacle that has the oil. So under the wick. The shvil shetamtin v'tadlik, for it to burn more slowly, because the hotter the oil is, the quicker it gets used up. These items cool down the oil. They don't allow for the fire to heat up the oil as much as it normally would, and therefore it burns slower, so the fire lasts longer. Again, you are allowed to do it. Now that we learn techniques in slowing down fire, so now I was like, we know how to do that. We may not, because of Baltashchitz, stamazoi, speed up the fire. Whoever needlessly covers the oil lamp. No, it's why are you covering it? We just explained now, because just like if the oil is cooler, it burns slower. So if you cover it, so therefore the fire warms it up quicker, it's going to burn quicker. So if you know how to manipulate the oil and you do it stam, you make the fire burn quicker. You use out the oil quicker than you needed to. Or omegali nafta, when you would use neft as your fuel, neft is very flammable. We learned this right in the second Pedic. And if you don't cover the receptacle itself, many times the fire from the wick would jump on the neft and it would quickly consume the neft. So if you leave it uncovered, you don't cover it, again, because you want it to burn quicker for no purpose, then you're even on baltashlis. No, the point is that we got into this because we're learning how to manipulate a candle with the same amount of oil that it should burn slower. So you're not mechuyev to make it burn slower, but don't, for no reason, or just to experiment, go ahead and speed it up. It's burning because you're violating baltashchis. And the final statement says, the Gemara is, chamra v'chaya l'fum rabbanim. If one, right, is offering a toast before they drink wine, today before they drink mashke, during a fabrengen, and one is wishing the other, mevinch te'enan the andere, that chamra, that wine and life to the Rabbanan, right, or to the mouths of the Rabbanan. That's not darkei amoyri. This is takei bracha. This is something that we are allowed to do. Anyway, mishum darkei amoyri. You know, it's giving a bracha is very different than all of those incantations, if they don't work, that we're not allowed to do. An incantation is something already magical. Here, no, you're giving a bracha. Before you drink, you're saying, these were the words, Chamra v'chaya. Now, Maisa but Rabbi Akiva, to prove that we are allowed to do it. Sha'asa Mishnah Lebanoi. Once he was making a wedding for a son, Al kol kois v'koi shehevi, every time he drank a cup, he would say, Chamra v'chaya l'fum rabbanan, and wine and to life to the mouths of the Chachamim. And then he said, v'chaya v'chamra l'fum rabbanan l'fum talmidein. And life and wine, he reversed the order. He reversed the order here for the mouths of the Rabbanan and for the mouths of their Talmidim. So what's meant us? In other words, the question that the Marshav picks up upon is, why did he change the Seder? We have repetition, but he changed the order. Is it Chamra v'chaya or is it Chaya v'chamra? And in the last statement, when he put life before the wine, he added the Talmidim. All of that is of great significance. Again, reading Nachash Tikkel Marshav, the last Marshav in the Spedic. So says the Marsha, but when it comes to drinking wine, as we know when he quotes different psukim, that wine has in it a davar v'hifuchay. If you drink in moderation, then wine is a great thing. It brings about simcha, the yain yisamach. That's a good thing. But what is it good, says the Marsha, lefi hamida, misamchay. But if a person is not zoicha, meaning shesheiseu yoser midai, then mishamamoy, it makes you crazy. It damages you. So first of all, the Rabbi Akiva, when he spoke to the Rabbanon, and they knew already how to moderate their indulgence, so he would first mention Chamra, he would make a statement and he give a bracha that you should drink wine in a way that it should bring you life. In other words, don't drink too much. Chamra v'chaya. But that is something that the Chachamim understood and indeed practiced. But the Talmidei Hain, what did we also learn in yesterday's daf? That sometimes when they were young in the yeshiva by the Fabrengen, they drank too much. They got shikr. The Talmideim, sometimes they drink beyond the measure. So the Rabbi Akiva had a special bracha for them. He's giving them a bracha. That even if it's v'chaya, meaning that you're drinking too much, you're not moderating it, it should not harm you. So v'chaya v'chamra, so he's touched the marsha. The gamim yishtu harabanan oise yoser min hamida, but Rabbi Akiva levarcham shelo yavoy l'dei sakana. V'lochein heipach hadavar chaya v'chamra, v'higdem achayim l'chamra. You know, they needed the bracha, they should live. So when a person is overindulging, the first thing it tells him is you should live. And then you should learn how to drink chamra in the right amount and not too much. And on that we say, Chadron aloch b'meh isha. And we're going to start now a whole new section of Masechta Shabbos, because really we learned about Hoitzah, and we learned about behaviors that are more negeah from Erev Shabbos. That was the whole Seder. And Taka, we went back into many articles that may or may not be worn, but these also affect behaviors of Erev Shabbos, B'chulei. Now really in Perek Klal Gadol, we're going to have the Mishnah Daf Ayin Gimel that will finally enumerate the Mem Chasarachas, the Lamates Malachas. But before we begin with that, I just want to say a few words of introduction. And in respect of Danny, we won't begin the Mishnah right now. We'll start the Mitzvah Motzei Shabbos around 9:15ish. But just to begin with the following concepts in mind. And we learned this, whoever had the schus to learn together, Masechta Krisus. These are the rules. Any time that we have a lav, when Hashem tells us don't do this or don't do that, for which the Torah writes that the punishment for its violation is kares, God forbid. So the rule is, kares, one gets, if they violated it, b'mezit. If the person did that activity erroneously, inadvertently, b'shoigeg, then they have to bring a chatus. That's the rule. Anything for a mezit kares, b'shoigeg, you're chayav chatus. Now, what happens if a person repeated the same violation many times over, all b'shoigeg? So normally the rules are very simple. And these are the words that we have to become familiar with. And for many of us who learned in the past, whether we learned Shavuos or others, we learned Shabbos a couple of years ago. So there's a concept called Yediyah and Helam. Yediyah means you are aware that it's prohibited. Yediyah in the context of amazit. Helam means that there is a lapse of awareness, that you don't know that it's behelam, right? The word oilam, miloshan helam. If a person violated the same aveda many times, behelamachas, without a yediyah bentayim, then the person, when he or she becomes aware that, oy gewalt, I violated that lav, whether I violated it once or many times, they only have to bring one chatas. It's interesting. If a person violated something b'shoigig, the example that we normally have is eating chaylev. It's an example that's normally given not in Shabbos, but throughout Shas, because it was common. People, they didn't go to the butcher. People owned animals. They shechted an animal, and you ate your animal. And it was more often than other violations, relative to other violations, that a person would eat chaylev. Chaylev looks like shuman. Parts of the animals that are kosher and parts of the animals that are not kosher can look very similar. That's why you have to know how to do nikur. And a person would eat chaylev b'shoigig. So if a person ate chaylev, a kazais of chaylev, and after they ate it, they chapt oy gewalt, that was chaylev. And then they ate again. When they ate again the next day, they didn't know they're eating chaylev again. They're chayv tu chatois. Even though they ate a kazais of chaylev twice, both times in a state of helem, but since there was a yediyah bentayim, therefore it's mechalek for the carbon. That's the rule. Now, by other sins, it's simple. By Shabbos, it gets exciting. And we're going to begin, God willing, in next year, pay the Klal Gadol by giving us 3 rules, 3 important rules. When do we say that for various acts of Chilul Shabbos, you will only be chayiv 1 chatos? When will we say that for various violations, you'll be chayiv various chatois? We're going to mention both the question of if I violated various of the lametes, behelamachas, whether I violated the same av this Shabbos and next Shabbos and the prior Shabbos. We're going to be speaking about a person who never knew that there's something called Shabbos. For example, that's the lashon that we borrow for all the other areas. A tinnik shenishba lebein ha'akum. He's a yid. He never knew about Shabbos, and he never kept Shabbos for many years. And then he discovers, thank God, das Shabbos of Welt. So how many chatois does he have to bring? For every Av, or 1 for every Shabbos, or indeed, as we'll learn, the Klal Gadol, no, he only brings 1 chatos. So we're going to have the Klal Gadol, which also implies there's a major rule, there is a non-major rule, there's a Klal Gadol, God willing, in next year. Mirza Hashem. Good.
Shabbos.
All right, guys, so let's start like 9:15 if we could, something like that.
Sounds good.
What time Sunday?
Sunday, 8 o'clock.
8. Okay. Have a good Shabbos, everyone.
Yeah.